Welcome back everyone to the Hello World Sky, and this is the next episode of our Python Pygame series. And in this video we are going to continue by implementing some user interface so that the player can see the scores that the player have on the screen, and we can do that using our Pygame library. And we've got like a font library inside of Pygame which we can use, and there is also like full-blown GUI libraries that are available for Pygame, but we don't really need that, so we are going to just use simple text. So in order to get started, what we will do is we are going to, first of all, in order to display text, we need to create a font. For that, let's go here and create a variable called font, and you must do this after you have initialized pygame.init. So if you don't call pygame.init, then if you do font, then it won't work. Anyways, we need to create an instance of the class pygame.font.font, and yeah, this is the class, and we will just put a font name here. This is a built-in font, free sans bold, and that basically will be present, so we don't need to download anything else. Of course, if you actually download a font, you can also use that. And I'm going to set its size to 64. Now I'm going to create a text, a variable called text, which I'm going to call font.render, which returns the text, and we'll render the string 0, and we'll render it true because we are using this to render our score. And we'll render this like with true, and this true means that its anti-aliasing is enabled. So the first thing is text, the second one is anti-aliasing, and that means that it will kind of smooth stuff so it doesn't look rough. And for the color, we'll just pass in a pale grayish color, and we won't pass any background color at all. And this text variable is actually a surface, because you can see font render returns a surface. Now we have got a screen surface and we have got a text surface, and we need to put the text surface on the screen surface. For this reason, I'm going to go down in drawing, and for drawing the UI, we are going to just say screen.blit, and this blit function allows us to put a surface on another surface. And the first argument is the actual surface we need to blit, the second is the rectangle that we need to blit at. For now, we'll just give in text.getRectangle, get rect. So that's pretty simple. Let's run that, and we get a 0 in the corner of our screen. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. And now what we are going to do is I'm going to go up here. First of all, let me increase the size to 100, and we want to change the position of the text. For that, we'll have to create another rect. So we'll create a variable called t1rect, which will set to text.getRect, and in here we'll use t1rect instead. Now for the actual changing this rect, we are going to set its top left corner to 150 and 50, and this is a Pygame rect, by the way, so that it's got like stuff like top left and top right. And for the because we are going to draw two texts, one for player 1 and one for player 2. So for player 2, we are going to set its top right, not top left, and because we are using like this pygame.rect, it will allow us to do that pretty easily, and we won't have to worry about the size of the text or it being at the top left. We can just subtract 150 from the screen width. And now let's go under where we are drawing our UI, and we are going to blit text again, but with t2rect, and let's run that, and you can see that we do get two side like 0 and 0 here as well. Of course, currently these are completely static and they are not doing anything, and we want these to change according to the player's score. For this reason, we'll have to remove this from here, and I'll have to go down here where we are doing in our update function, and we are going to update the UI, and we are going to basically paste that whole code here. So that thing that was first executing only in the first run is now going to execute on every frame. And that is well, of course it is not very fast, but well, this works, and you could kind of optimize it to only update it when the score changes, and that is one approach. And yeah, that's gonna be I guess alright, but we are going to leave it at this for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and create two variables, player 1 score set to 0 and player 2 score set to 0 as well by default. And when we are rendering the text, we are going to convert the player 1 score to a string, because that's what we want to render, and we are going to call this text1, and we are also going to use text1 here, and we are going to create a text2 as well, which we are going to set to player 2 score. That's pretty awesome. And when we are drawing the UI, we need to make sure we use text1 and text2. So that's pretty cool. And now for when we are actually detecting when the ball goes out of the boundaries, right now we are doing it with OR, but we want to do a different thing depending on where the ball is in the boundary, like on the left or right side. So we are going to add another if here. Inside of this, I'm going to add, so if the ball is less than 0, which means it's at the negative position. If ball x plus ball size is less than 0, then we are going to increment the player 1 score, else we are going to increment the player 2 score. Actually, that needs to be inverse. We need to because if it goes on player 1 size, then the opposite score increases, and that's how it works. And we need to do this before we actually change the ball x and y direction when we start the if statement. So yeah, we have got that, and yes, that looks pretty cool. And yeah, that is going to pretty much work. So let's go ahead and try that out. And what you should see is that if I just move my players down just to test it easier, you can see that as it moves, the score of the opposite side increases, and it's random, of course, and we can kind of course you can actually play the game. So yeah, the actual game itself is almost ready, and you can have a game with your friends or whatever. But the thing that is remaining currently is a way to handle when our player wins and loses. So that is something we are going to do in the future videos, so stay tuned for that, and make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the future videos. I'll see you in the next one, and bye.